I look back now and say that there were no accidents in my life, even with what happened in Cleveland or this and that. I think everything went exactly the way that it was supposed to. I think there's other things out there that I'm meant for, and I think fate has worked its way in a way that things have gone exactly the way that they should have.
Yeah.
You think things went exactly the way it was supposed to go?
I do.
That's interesting. It's the only reason why I say that is because like things go the way they're supposed to go when when the things that are uncontrollable happen.
Of course.
But the things that and we'll get with this a little farther down the road.
No.
When you got to the NFL, like everything, all the actions were controllable.
Yeah, probably so.
So when you say like it's all, what did you say? It happens for a reason, it's supposed to happen
the way it's supposed to.
So if you went back, you wouldn't do anything different.
No.
You do it the same way. You wouldn't do nothing different.
I wouldn't. I for 5 years of my life, I went through the roller coaster of, I guess really depression after I got cut in LA, or I got cut from Cleveland and moved to LA. I went through waking up every day wanting to have a time machine to go back to our draft in 2014 and maybe tell this team to get fucked or go to another team or go in the second round or work through every single scenario in my head. And I think I've got to the point now where maybe I just really didn't ever love football to the point of what it takes to be successful in the NFL.
Yeah. So when you went from the Browns, where'd you go from there? You went to the CFL or XFL or Arena League?
I took a year off, and then I went to the CFL, and then went and played in the AAF in the same year.
And how long did it take you to realize that maybe I didn't love football the way I thought I loved football?
When I walked back into the locker room in Canada for the first time, I was really excited going to the press conference the first couple of days on the field, but when the grind really started and the normal workload, and it's a 30% workload in the CFL compared to what we do in the NFL.
Yeah, it's like OTAs every day, right?
It's pretty much like you're in the building at 9 o'clock, you're done at 1 o'clock, you get free time to do whatever you want. So you spend a couple extra hours in there, you're done. In at 9, you're done at 3. Compared to what we do on a Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever day in the league, where it's early season 6:30 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night or something like that. So when I moved and went back into the locker room in Canada and started getting back into it again, I felt the exact same way. Every single feeling that I had when I was in Cleveland came right back to me, and I'm like, I don't love this whatsoever.
You don't want to do this?
Mm-mm.
But you went Canadian League, you went to that spring league.
And then I went to the AAF and the AAF in Memphis.
So was it a vicious circle of being in something, realizing, okay, this isn't for me, leaving it, being like, okay, this hasn't been my identity for X amount of years, my father, the people I love think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So you get back into it.
Yeah.
And then it was a vicious circle over and over again.
A lot of it was, now I sit back and reflect and call it what it is, but for like a long point in time, I didn't accept it for what it was. I was, listening to outside people, or go back and watch an old highlight tape and be like, fuck, man, I can go in the backyard right now and do the same shit and throw a ball around the same way. So it just, it took a lot of time and a lot of I've got to a point now in my life where I'm able to really reflect and sit back on things, and my mood has changed. My lifestyle is a little bit kind of the same with what I do and how I live my life, but just the way I think and the way that I interact with people and the way where my life is now, I'm completely different than I was. And I think a lot of it is come because of acceptance.
You seem much more calm. I didn't know you like that, but in 2012 at the Walter Payton thing, being around you and admiring you from afar, like that's Johnny Manziel. You know what I'm saying? You and I are both all Americans, but I'm looking at this guy going, fuck, that's that's whatever. And
I'm in the class with him.
I'm in the class with this fucking dude.
Yeah.
And then you go to the bar and you're holding court, dude, and like everyone's around you, and I'm looking at you like, God, I want to do that. I want to be a part of that shit. And so, but your energy was so high, and you seem like you're so on to the next thing. Looking back on it, obviously at the time I'm like this, I want to do that shit too. You know what I'm saying? I was getting just as much trouble on a way smaller scale.
Yeah, that's kind of what Ball don't lie. Like I've been buddies with him through more or less. When was it? Probably 2014.
Yeah, I mean, even before that.
I've known him a long time, and that was kind of the idea. We talked about this for a while. I just wanted people to see the side of him that there's a lot of connotations, obviously, that have traveled with the story, and it's obviously a notorious story, like just what he's gone through and what it looked like from afar. But knowing him then and being with him through it, and just in LA, we were neighbors for a while. I would see it. There'd be times where I didn't want to, we'd be buddies, but I'd want to stay. I want to let him work through what he needed to work through. And then it got to a point I'm like, I could feel that there was a level of peace where he had clarity. He went and did Canada. Like, you know, I remember we were doing a comeback season thing. I did some branding stuff for him then too. And he didn't have like he didn't have closure or clarity on it. And I feel like those were necessary steps for him just as a friend. Like, go get that last nut up. Like, see if you can do it again. You know what I mean? Like, does it still get your fucking dick hard or not? You know what I mean? And I remember talking to him. He's like, man, it just doesn't, you know? And then what ball don't lie, what that real undertone of that is just like, when you ask him that question, like, would you do it different? You know? The realization, we've had a lot of these late night conversations and talks about these types of things. And that was kind of the main realization. It's like, dude, if it's not in your heart and your mind and your soul, like your God gifts, you know, he was God gifted, talented at football, right? But at some point, if it doesn't get your rocks off and it's not what you want to do,
it's not meant to be.
It's not fucking supposed to do for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted him to share about, you know, just from that perspective. It's just like, man, at some point, what is it really about? You're living your life. So if you don't get up and be like, yo, I know, obviously it takes a lot of mental fortitude. We talk about fortitude all the time. Like, to be an amazing quarterback in the NFL, I mean, I only know what he tells me, but just the level of preparation that you guys, the level of dedication it takes. And if it's not in your heart to do that, like, for anything in any walk of life, you know what I mean? That's how I feel. Like, it's not in your heart of hearts to go pursue that with all of your passion or as much passion as it takes. And it's not your path, you know, it's not the path that you're supposed to walk forever, you know? And that's how I felt. And I think that's really what, like, I wanted to share in the Ball Don't Lie scenario. It's just like, I want him to share that side of it. Just like, dude.
That was the big thing that took off Ball Don't Lie. That was the reason why you guys want to start something.
I mean, we sit and have a bunch of talks like this just about life and being two guys around the same age, trying to just figure it out. Like, a lot of Mike's music has been one step after another, learning as you go. And I felt like, you know, I learned more. You know, the rise was really quick and rapid and fast, and everybody wanted a piece of it. And the energy that came with it was just through the roof. You know, it was crazy to think back and say maybe 8 or 9 years ago, there was only a couple athletes maybe on the face of the earth, or at least maybe in the United States, who maybe I was as famous as, like maybe me, LeBron, Tom Brady, like a couple other guys.
No, you're up there for sure.
Yeah, Johnny Football.
It was really up there. And, you know, just looking back on it now, it's crazy to say, and not a lot of people have understood this when I've said it, but like, I've been longing and trying to get back to a sense of normalcy. And life went from really normal, a kid from fucking Kerrville, Texas that nobody knew, to a Heisman a year later, to the whole rise going to the NFL and dealing with that. My whole mission in the last couple of years has been trying to get back to a sense of normalcy and just feeling like one of the boys again. Yeah. That's why I wanted to come on the bus talking like, I just want to be one of the fucking bros. When you walking the streets, guys ask me while we're here in Nashville, it's like, yo, what the fuck are you doing out here, man? I'm like, dude, it's Memorial Day weekend. I'm trying to come out, you know, have some fun with my boys the same way you are. Yeah. Trying to just have a good time. That's it. There's nothing else to it. Just a guy trying to have a beer at Florida Georgia Line Bar and eat some queso.
We had a lot.
Yeah, too, like, and it's like, you know, would you do anything different? Like living in regret and all that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, like as a human being, you're going to sit there like, I wish I had my experience now that I did back then, and I just don't. Because if you're sitting there living in regret all the time and you just like live in the past, at the end of the day, you're just like, you just have illusions about like what life should have been based on what everybody else perceives you as.
You know what I mean? Crazy. It's really what drove a lot of my mental health struggles and a lot of things. It took me years, man. I went through a point where my schedule flipped around and I couldn't sleep throughout the middle of the night, and I would sleep during the middle of the day. And this would go on for weeks at a time. And I would just beat myself up every day watching guys who I went up against in college or friends with. And you can't help but almost get to a point of like envy or jealousy at times, watching guys go out and live the dream of what you thought you were supposed to do. But I can honestly sit back and say today that I'm happier with less. I'm happier without all the fame, and I'm happier on the path that my life is going. And I don't know where the fuck it's going. Yeah. I'm cool with it. I'm rocking with everything that comes my way and just kind of piece by piece, day by day, just figuring it out. Something will come.
I hope you guys like this clip. If you want to continue to be for the boys, you need to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share with a friend, and check out our playlist. We have all the links right here on the screen. As always, biggest of hugs and tiniest of kisses. Also go check out the full episodes, but always for the boys.